What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So today's video is about my 2011 Ford Escape. Now, this is a car I bought about 10 months ago, low mileage, 61,000 miles, and it only cost me $8,000. I gotta tell you, I love these Ford Escapes. At the end of this model run, after 2012, you couldn't get a Ford Escape with a 6-cylinder in it. Now, this one has the 240 horse 6-cylinder, 3-liter 6. So it's a great car. I love everything about it. Problem is, it developed an oil leak. With 61,000 miles on it, or actually at this point it's got 66,000 miles on it, she's leaking oil, something I did not expect. And a lot of times these things happen. You never know. You buy a used car, something's up with it or whatever the case may be. It developed an oil leak, something that I did not expect. Now, what we're going to do today is we're going to pull it into the garage and put it up on ramps and see what's wrong with it. And then I'm going to show you how I remedied the situation. Check this out. And to fix the oil leak, in this case, I'll show you once we get under the car and I start to do the oil change and actually show you what's leaking. This car is not worth the repair. Considering that it's an $8,000 car, even though it's low mileage, an oil leak like this on this car is definitely not worth the repair. I've been through this with old cars before. For years, I would buy old cars like old Mercury Cougars, Mustangs, Crown Victorias, things like that. A typical Ford engine, 302, leaking from the rear main seal. I would do things to stop the oil from dripping on the pavement without actually doing the repair. I'm going to show you on this car how I did that. It's a very interesting thing. I'm probably not the only person who's done it, but in this case, I'm going to show you how I did it, and it should be helpful to somebody. So stick with me as we go through this, guys. This is very interesting. All right, everybody, so we're underneath the car now, and it's really cramped in here, so I'll try to get you a view of what's leaking. You can see the oil dripping off the oil pan bolts up there, but this engine is unique in an interesting way. Seems to have a 2-piece oil pan. Can you see that in there? Well, the gasket on the upper part of the pan, as I would call it, I'm not exactly sure if that's accurate, but that part of the pan, where it mounts to the engine block, is where it's sort of seeping. It's not leaking a lot, but it's seeping. And you can see it sort of seeps and gets on those bolts and drips along the oil pan and drips onto the driveway. You could see it there. Now, looking at this, to do a repair on this, if it was just the oil pan, it wouldn't be so bad. But if you got to fix that part, that means that all the accessories on the front of the motor have to come off. Harmonic balancer has to come out. Cam covers have to come off to get the timing chain cover off, which means the intake manifold has to come off. I mean, everything has to be taken apart on this engine to get to that gasket, to fix that gasket, to stop it from leaking. This would be a very expensive repair, seemingly not worth it on an $8,000 car that's depreciating in value rather quickly. I'm not really interested in doing that repair and investing that much money in this car. So we have another way to do this, something that I've done on other cars before. In this case, you could see the exhaust pipe, 6-cylinder engine, so the exhaust pipe comes along the side of the pan, and then goes up to one bank, comes down here, picks up the other bank, and goes out to the back. So this could be a little bit of a hassle if, you put something to catch this oil that could possibly be melted by the exhaust. But I got a way to do it, and I'm going to show you guys how I remedied this problem. All right, so we got our 15mm wrench. This thing shouldn't be too tight. We'll just open this up and let the oil out. It's been 5,000 miles since I bought this car 6 months ago. And somewhat disappointing to have to deal with this. But this is the way it goes sometimes. You buy a used car, you never know what you're gonna get. So I didn't notice the oil leak on the driveway until about 5 months after I owned the car. And that's just one of those things too. You buy a used car, you know, there was no warranty on the car to cover this. So I'm gonna have to deal with it myself. So let the oil drain out. We'll finish this oil change. And I'll show you how we're going to encapsulate this to stop that oil from dripping on the driveway. Okay, so at this point, with all the oil drained out, we'll just tighten up on this oil plug. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to do this. Anybody could do their own oil change. I'm not torquing it down, that's just my rough idea of what it should be. Wipe off any excess oil, anything from up in here that might be dripping down. All right, we'll change the oil filter, and then we'll get going with our remedy. All right, guys, so as you can see, this oil leak is really not all that bad. It doesn't leak a lot of oil seeping through the oil pan gaskets. And because this engine seems to have a two-piece oil pan, the upper section would be really hard to get out. Very expensive repair, something I'm not gonna do. So what we're gonna do, how we're gonna remedy this is, I got one of these guys right here. This is the cover to one of those plastic storage bins that they sell. Say, you know, you want to store something underneath your bed in your bedroom. They got these plastic storage bins. Actually, there it is right up there. You see that? This is the cover to that box. What we're gonna do is we're gonna modify this, put some towels or some rags between this and the engine to catch the oil as it drips. And like I say, I've done this to other vehicles in the past. I expect it to work on this one. So we're gonna put that up against the engine, trim it down to a point where it'll fit just right and catch the oil. Okay, one thing I've learned that is very, very important to do is to put a little bit of oil into your oil filter before you install it on the car. For those of you who are unfamiliar with this, the reason for this is for those moments that when you first start the car and the filter is empty, okay, those moments, the oil pressure takes longer to build because it needs to fill the oil filter. So give yourself a little head start and fill it with oil. Cheap insurance, you know, something that I've learned to do a long time ago, something that I will always do when I do an oil change. Okay, I've already loosened up the oil filter. These things can get pretty messy at times. I'll get this baby out. Okay, we got that. Messy, but we got it. Now we got a new one. Hopefully you don't spill any oil getting this one in. It's very, very easy. Okay, so now the easy part. You can see this engine takes 5W20 motor oil. That's what we're gonna put in it. All right, so let's take off the cap. Set it aside there. Get our funnel. All right, and put in our oil. Now this engine takes roughly 5.7 quarts, as I read it on the internet. So we'll fill this thing up, we'll start it up, and see how our little, as I'll call it a diaper. Let's see how the diaper works. Should work okay. I've done this many times in the past, but let's fill it up with oil and see how it works. Okay, so here's how we do this. We take the cover to our plastic storage bin, right? And this is going to be lifted up against the bottom of the engine. So we'll have to take a rag like this one, okay, and just lay it on here in such a way that it wraps around this side of this cover, okay? Something like that. Sometimes, you know, once you get it underneath the car and you're ready to secure it up to the oil pan, you know, you'll massage this and move it around a little bit. This area over here will have to be trimmed to clear the exhaust. But basically, this is how it works. You just put a little rag in there. You know, it's a very backyard way of trying to get a remedy for this problem. But it works. I've used it in the past, and it works quite well. So we'll position this as best we can. We'll trim this out as best we can. And we'll put it up on the bottom of the car. We'll wire it up. We'll secure it to any location that we could find. Get this tight to the oil pan, and that rag should catch the oil. All right, so we'll just fish this wire up in here. Little piece of tie wire, another item that is something that I have from all the years that I worked in the construction business. I have a couple rolls of this tie wire left over from those days, and we'll just try to fish this thing in here. It's cramped, it's tough. We'll see if we can get this thing in here. There we go. Now, this is just one of those times that you wish I had a lift. My friend Mike J. Autos and stuff, if you guys follow him, he just put a lift in his garage so that he could get 3 cars into his garage. Now, if I had that, heck, I'd be doing all my own repairs. Okay, so there's the wire. And here's our cover. Okay, you can see with all the rags on it, she's all made to fit. And you could see it. It's been all made to fit here. And you just sort of get this thing in there like this. All right? And get it in there nice and tight. You get your wire and you hold it in there as tight as you can. And then we'll sort of fix this wire in and around this AC bracket right there. And just get it nice and tight so it stays where you want it. And make sure that the rag is where it needs to be. Okay? And then you just tie this up so that it'll stay. Now this is nice and tight to the motor. Nobody will see it. You just get it in there so it stays. We're going to try to get this a little tighter than that. Really, you just wouldn't want this thing to come off, you know, but it's going to be in here for the next 5,000 miles. It's not pretty, but it works. All right, everybody, so when all's said and done, this is what it looks like. You can see it's been trimmed to fit. You know, it gets close to the exhaust, melted a little bit right there, okay? But no big deal. You can see the rags, you know, they soak up the oil as it drips and keeps the oil off my driveway. Got a little piece of tie wire, it's tied over there to the air conditioner area there where the AC compressor mounts up to the engine, a little spot I could tie into. And then up over there, there's a little bracket that supports the axle shafts going over to the, you know, the passenger side front wheel. We tied it up over there. You can see the rags. They're sort of protruding out the sides. I did that on purpose, you know, just to make sure that if it fills up, you know, it'll, you know, soak up the oil or whatever. But, you know, the oil is dripping on the other side of the motor, so this being dropped over here doesn't seem to affect anything. And keeps the oil off my driveway. This is not a pretty repair. You know, if I was an 18-year-old guy, this would be a girlfriend that I don't bring home to mama. But it's underneath the car, nobody sees it. So this is just one of those things. You know, you keep it quiet, you don't say anything about this, but it works. Repair like this, if I was to actually have a mechanic fix this engine, to fix that leak. It would cost me upwards of $1,000, probably a lot more than that. I haven't quoted it out yet at this point, but this works, guys. I've been doing stuff like this for years to get me by expensive repairs on cars. You know, so you could just drive the car. I mean, it's a reliable car. There's no problem with it, but you know, you simply can't have the oil dripping on the driveway. You know, if that wasn't an issue, I wouldn't even bother with this. But you know, with a nice paved driveway like that, I certainly can't have the oil dripping on the driveway. But this works. You know, you do an oil change, I won't have to worry about this for another 5,000 miles. All right, well, there you have it, guys. A simple remedy to an annoying problem. With the use of a cover to a plastic storage bin like this one, we solved the problem. I actually did this repair or remedy about 2 months ago. And I've been parking the car in a different spot on the driveway. The diaper, as I call it, picks up all the oil, and my driveway stays clean. I got to find a way to clean up the oil that got into the area that you know, got on the driveway before I did this remedy. But it wasn't that much, and it's really not that bad. So this is one of those things, guys, saved me a major repair on this vehicle. I like this Ford Escape. I don't have any complaints about it other than this annoying oil leak. So we got a little diaper on it right now. It catches the oil. I'll only have to deal with it every 5,000 miles. So it seems to be something that will work for this vehicle. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, I've had so many cars that had rear main seal leaks. And all I would do is grab a piece of sheet metal or whatever I could find on a construction site, put some rags underneath it, tie it up to the engine, catch the oil, and not have any problems. Some engines might leak more oil than others, so you got to check your oil once in a while. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.